Welcome to Finanzdiva 2021 CEO and Founder Talks. Mike Geike, CEO and co-founder of Advanced Blockchain, is here with us today to give us an update to his company and a forecast to the world of blockchain. Mike, welcome.
Hello, Kate. Very nice to be here. Thank you.
I was actually so nervous to ask you for an interview because CEOs are usually very busy on holidays. But the fact that you said yes so immediately convinced me to ask you for your vision about blockchain and share your experience with our audience.
Yeah, absolutely. It's my pleasure. I think it's an exciting topic, and I think I'm always happy to educate on what we do. I think more people need to know about this, and happy to help.
Yeah, one thing that surprised me when looking at your life was that you started your career in the banking world. So you worked as an investment banker. And the question that I have is, when did you get clarity for yourself about turning your back to the banking world and following your vision of creating a leading blockchain ecosystem developer?
Well, Kate, I was very young. I was, only 22 when I came out of university, out of Imperial College with a mathematics degree, and kind of dove straight into the trading floor, trading interest rate derivatives at JP Morgan. And, those were the boom years, 2005, 2006, just after the recovery of the dot-com crash. And then 07, the credit crunch, 08, the Lehman Brothers collapse, global financial crisis, and to experience all of this from the front row as a young adolescent was absolutely amazing and learned so much, really exhilarating. The traders that were sitting right next to me earned like $14-15 million a year in bonus. And to jump into this cold water is, an amazing experience. But I always kind of knew, I always had the urge to create my own businesses. I knew there is more than just this bubble world, and I wanted to experience it. So I kind of left in 2011, which, isn't an easy choice because you always leave a lot of stocks and bonus really on the table when you leave that industry. But I took this leap of faith, and this is what, after 12 years in London, kind of brought me back home to Berlin. And I did various different things first, actually, before I started looking into blockchain. I started up some online shops and sold them. I wanted to have a more exposure to the tech world, to the e-commerce world. This is how I ended up at Zalando when they were pretty much still a startup, and helped them build units of data scientists, the data intelligence unit, looking at artificial intelligence, machine learning. And it was around that time, 2012, that I stumbled across consensus algorithms. And as you very well know, Kate, those are at the very heart of blockchain technology. And this is when I basically fell down the rabbit hole. Back then there was only Bitcoin. And the more I read about it and the more meetups I went to, and I was lucky to be in Berlin, because Berlin still is today one of the central hubs for blockchain innovation and development. The more people I talked to, back then there was only deep tech developers that were looking at this stuff, the more I realized that there's something huge and something revolutionary on the horizon. And pretty much immediately, with a good friend of mine, Robert Kufner, started up a Bitcoin mining operation. Back then, you could still mine with graphic cards. So we had the full basement full of mining rigs, had to lay a big power cable into the basement to get enough electricity to those rigs. And in the summer, it was super tough to cool them down. Some of them burned, and pretty wild, but, lucrative back in those days. And above all, probably it gave us early on a very deep technological insight into how this technology really works. Yeah, this is how it began.
But do you miss life at Wall Street sometimes?
Maybe I do miss the people above all, you do meet amazing, very bright individuals that I definitely miss. And maybe sometimes the atmosphere, there was a very special atmosphere on the, trading floor with 500 people all shouting, being loud when numbers come out. And so, but, I don't regret any decisions, because overall I'm definitely not too sad, because now I am actively creating the financial markets of our future, at the very leading edge forefront of technological innovation. And being part of this innovation explosion that you see now, especially in the decentralized finance space, it kind of reminds me of the financial innovation that we saw in 2005 and 6, and which is different now, though, because back then it was already a saturated market. It was at the very end of a tipping point, whereas the innovation that we see now is right at the beginning and is actually going to be the foundation of our future financial markets, or many of those innovations will be. So I'm overall very, very happy with having left Wall Street and being now in this amazing field.
You founded various companies. With advanced blockchain, you created a startup that is a publicly listed high flyer, whose share price jumped from approximately €3 to €20 within less than 12 months. What actually gave your company's share price the wings to fly?
Well, Kate, I think we always had the wings to fly. To be honest, I also think we're still on the runway. Maybe the lights have just turned green and we've just accelerating down the runway, about to take off. We took 2020 to take a step back and take a look at ourselves, and evaluated the situation and wanted to get the company set up right. And this is what led in the end to doing the peak management buyout that you probably heard about, which doesn't look too much to the outside, but believe me, we put a lot of resources into getting this set up right. And this is pretty much what allows us now to reap the profits in the markets, because Peak now has really all the room it needs to scale and unfold all of its potential in the venture capital space where it belongs. And we set up Advanced Blockchain as a holding company that can now pursue many lucrative business ideas in the broader blockchain market under its various daughter companies to create maximum shareholder value.
A lot of people don't know Advanced Blockchain. So what is it about, and to which industry does Advanced Blockchain matter the most?
As the name says, we are about blockchain technology generally. But not just that, we try to advance this technology. And so basically, we're always trying to stay ahead of the game. And this is what we, I think, do extremely well. And I would say there are three main areas that I would identify, or three kind of buckets that we operate in. And the first bucket is bringing this amazing technologies into the real world. And in this bucket, you have Peak, for example, that is speaking to the world's industry leading companies to, together with them, identify areas, low-hanging fruits, applications that can be utilized and built on blockchain technology, on the Peak protocol, on the DAG chain, to create value for those companies. And in the same bucket, for example, is FinPro, which is a security or asset securitization platform, which is also an application in the real world. And then you have the second bucket, which I would say is the operation of token investments that we do. Investments, for example, like we've done in Polkadot, also utilizing that we've been in this space since 2012 and using this network and our expertise to get access to investments in those great projects, usually issuing tokens. And getting those allocations isn't easy. Usually those projects always look out for investors that add value to their projects. And this is exactly what we can do. And this is what allows us to get allocation into those investments and how we, again, add value for our shareholders. And those investments usually have worked extremely well. The Polkadot, for example, we invested in 2040, in 2017, as you probably know, around $50,000, and are now worth over $6 million. And many of those investments and type of investments is what we continue to do in this second bucket. And then we have a third bucket, which I probably think is the most exciting one, because it is where we combine a lot of our intelligent blockchain developing capabilities to develop products and projects right now with a strong focus in the decentralized finance space, but in the token economy as a broader field. And in there, for example, so we help projects, build our own projects, and also help other projects off the ground with smart contract developments. And one example is the warp.finance protocol that we helped get off the ground. And this is also a very lucrative business. Generally, you're rewarded also with tokens. And this right now has been working extremely well. And maybe in this third bucket, I would also put something that we published actually this morning, a new company that we've set up, Stellar Labs, which is a smart contract auditing firm. So because we have such good understanding of this technology, we can use it to offer this auditing service. And as you can imagine, the demand for getting your smart contracts audited is huge out there, because in the decentralized world, to the users, it's extremely important to have this kind of auditing validity stamp on your smart contracts, because otherwise, who do you trust to lock a lot of your assets into those smart contracts? And this is what allows us to make some money, because it's a great business in itself. But above all, it also allows us to get deep technological insight into some of the greatest projects out there as a first kind of viewer, the first one to have a deep look into those protocols. And if it really does what it says on the tin and we like it after we evaluate it, then we most certainly also have the opportunity to be one of the first investors into those projects. So you see there's a great synergy between this third bucket and the second token investment bucket. And this is also, I think, one of the great setups of advanced blockchain, that we are so broadly positioned with many synergies to create maximum shareholder value.
What I love about your company is that it has so many pioneers, experts, and investors on board. For example, there's the ex-Cisco CEO Michael Ganser and the ex-Dyson and Pro7sat.1 CEO Max Konze. Mike, what makes your company so appealing that so many experts and top managers want to join your team?
Oh, well, that's a good question. Once people have worked with advanced blockchain, they want to continue working with us. This is usually, a good sign. But I think it's probably because we have a great vision into what future business models will look like and what future markets will look like, because, there's a lot of change on the horizon, I can tell you this. And we have a very good understanding of the Web 3.0 vision and all the changes that it will bring. And people are excited by this. They want to be a part of it. They see that we are absolute experts in the field. And who wouldn't want to utilize that by being part of our network, right? This network, again, we've been growing since 2012, so very early on. And probably above all as well to mention is it's also about having fun. I like working with people that are fun to work with, and like to surround myself with people that are fun to work with. And I think this generally reflects back as well and creates a nice working atmosphere that people want to be a part of.
Why is advanced blockchain more than just an ordinary blockchain company?
Well, Kate, probably because it's not called ordinary blockchain AG. Yeah, seriously, I think it is more than an ordinary blockchain company because we are so broadly positioned, right? So, and lots of synergies between the various fields. We're a big believer in blockchain, and we want to position ourselves that whatever happens, we'll profit from it. And I think we do extremely well in reaping the low-hanging fruits right now that exist in the DeFi space, for example, right now, while simultaneously also play the long-term game by bridging this technology with the real world and so on. So we are able to envision the future again, which, you know, it is a rare skill as this becomes harder and harder, you know, as we get closer to the singularity.
In one interview, you talked about Elon Musk's big move into the Bitcoin, and you said, to me, it shows that he knows that this is only going to go in one direction. With all that money printing going on in the world, it is a fantastic time to at least move some of your reserve assets into the cryptocurrency world. What would be your top advice for young people on investing?
The funny thing is, Kate, that crypto is often seen as a threat to governments or the establishment, you know, but what they don't realize is that it's not the decentralization movement that is bringing the old systems down. It's pretty much our own current financial systems that are doing this all by themselves, right? I mean, the mistake was made when in the 70s the gold standard was removed and allowed governments to print money at will. And this is kind of, you know, a hamster wheel that was set off and has been accelerating since. And I don't think this can be slowed down. And when the old system will kind of eat itself and will collapse, we shall all be super grateful that we have these amazing, innovative, decentralized systems in place to fall back on. And we will do everything in our power to make these new systems as stable as possible, as transparent, as secure as possible, so that they can be used and really are the foundation for our future systems. So my advice to young people is, number one, don't hold any cash. Try to accumulate assets like land, property, crypto, and stocks. And I know, you know, for young guys coming out of university, you say, okay, how can I get exposure to property or land? But this is exactly, for example, what FinPro is doing, allowing exactly this, allowing a student to buy a tiny piece of land or property for maybe 50 euros, right? And holding it as a tradable asset. But again, yeah, accumulate asset would be another advice. And maybe above all, maybe the most important one is, don't forget that the biggest asset you have is the very gift of being alive. You yourself are your biggest asset. This is one thing I learned from my managing director at investment banking at a very early age. So invest in yourself, invest in your mind, be healthy, learn, and be hungry. Remember that anything is possible nowadays, and no matter where you are, you just need a laptop. And if you have that, you can play a role. Maybe, you know, if you're switched on and you're hungry for even more, then feel free to contact us because we're always hiring.
Thank you very much for your interview. It was fun listening to your experience.
My pleasure.
We hope you liked this video. Leave us a like if you want, and we hope to see you soon on Finanzdiva.de.